Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We are live Friday night, February 20th, 2026, to discuss the Apple TV released film, The Gorge. That's right. We're here to talk about The Gorge. And it's so funny that we're reviewing this today, exactly a year and 6 days after it released last year. It released on Valentine's Day last year on Apple TV. So I think that's kind of funny that we're doing another film that is actually released around this time, just like with Silence of the Lambs was released on Valentine's Day, 1991. So I think that's kind of hilarious that how things would pan out that you would pick something that was actually just a year ago released. So I think that's kind of coincidental there. I'd never looked at, I forgot what the release date was for this film when I picked it. So I thought that was kind of funny. But anyways, yeah, it's an Apple TV released film, of course. It's a science fiction romantic action horror film, directed by Mr. Scott Derrickson. If you don't know who Scott Derrickson is, he directed, of course, the 2 Black Phone films. He also directed the first Doctor Strange film. And also he did the great film Sinister. Now, he is a great horror director, and this definitely was like kind of a mixture of several different things. And, I think that this wasn't fully his full repertoire that he would bring to films, I felt. Definitely because this is definitely more on the sci-fi end of horror than it is horror, I feel. So if you're a big fan of his horror stuff, this one's going to be a little different, just to give you a heads up. So keep that in mind when you're watching this. This is a little bit more sci-fi with some drama, romantic, stuff in it and stuff like that. All right, so this stars Mr. Miles Teller, who we all know from the recent film with Miss why is her name blanking me right now? Scarlet Witch herself in this film. He starred in Eternity with her. He also has starred in Top Gun Maverick. He was also in the really bad flop, the Fantastic Four reboot in 2015 as well. And we all have that has been mentioned several times, and Mr. Andreas has made sure to let us know about that too, and how crappy that film was. So we all must agree, yes, that was a horrible, horrible film. But still, I think Miles Teller did a decent job playing Reed Richards. Anyways, this also stars the great Anya Taylor-Joy. You might recognize her from, of course, Split and Glass. You might recognize her from the great Viking film that came out a few years ago with the great Alexander Skarsgård. You might also recognize her from other films too, Play Mobile, etc. And this also stars the great, amazing Sigourney Weaver, who, of course, we all know, of course, from the Alien franchises, Ripley. And then, of course, she's done some great other films over the years. Just most recently, she's been in the Avatar films. I think that this film has a pretty decent cast. So this was written by Zach Dean, who is a screenwriter and film producer. He has written films like Deadfall, The Tomorrow War, Fast 10, and then, of course, The Gorge. Those are kind of his big credits. And then, of course, this was produced, like I said, by Apple TV. It was put on Apple TV under the Apple Original Films and released, like I said, February 14th of last year, coming in at a runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes. This film, I think, is a definite watch, a fun film to watch. Is it the greatest film? No, but I still think it's very entertaining, of a film. And I think, Scott Derrickson did a good job. So, of course, on my panel tonight, we have the amazing Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge here himself. How we doing, Jeff?
Yeah, that's right, baby. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge, The Gorge. Fucking outstanding.
The great TrueKnowledge himself is here to give his knowledge of the film, The Gorge. And then, of course, also we have the pop culture guy himself, Time Lord, Time Cop, Toxic Avenger. You know him as Mr. Andreas Diaz, but we like to call him Mr. Time Cop. How we doing, Time Cop?
Pretty good, sir. Very excited to talk about The Gorge. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Excellent. All right. So, to get this wonderful review started, get us started, I was going to ask the question. So, how many times have you seen this film, or if this is your first time, what are your overall thoughts on the film? And kind of, is there any other film that Scott Derrickson has done that you could compare it to that you've seen? And I'll start with you, Mr. Time Cop.
Sure, awesome. No, this is my first time seeing this movie. Of course, Derrickson, he's a great director. Really love his work. I guess comparison, it could be Black Phone. I think that's definitely his best work. Sinister is really good too. I mean, it's up there, and I do like the first Doctor Strange movie. He's really good at mixing genre in films. Like they're like a bit horror, and there's like a little bit something, here and there. It's he's really good at mixing up like these like multiple like genres into his films, and I like this one. I really enjoy it. I think the special effects were awesome. The performances by the actor and actress was pretty awesome. I mean, I love Anna Taylor-Joy. She's a great actress. I mean, and you haven't seen The Witch. I mean, it's a pretty tough performance there. And the menu is great from her. She's great in that movie. Starring Ray Fiennes and Nicholas Hoult. And Linus Taylor, great actor, love him. I mean, if you've seen The Spectacular Now or Top Gun Maverick, he's really great too as an actor. Yeah, I was not gonna mention the Ben Forrester, but he did that as well. But he was good as Mr. Fantastic. I actually like his version of the elastic Marvel character. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this film. Not his best film, Derrickson. I think this is kind of like a mid-tier Derrickson film. And yeah, I'm very curious what you guys think about this movie. I think it was a very good Apple movie. I don't think it's this. I feel like The Lost Bus was a better movie. With this one, it was like, okay, I like the premise and the performances. I just think the movie it was too long. I gotta say, I had to like rewind and see half the movie because I was like dozing off a little bit, and I feel like the pacing was a little slow, but we'll get into it when we review it. But yeah, overall good first time watching the film. Really like the twists and turns of a sci-fi horror romance film. That's really cool, and I think the performances hold the film pretty good.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Time Cop. Great job. All right. Going over to you, Mr. Jeff. Same question, sir. Your overall thoughts of the film, and if you've seen any other Scott Derrickson films, would you compare it to any of those at all?
No, Cyber. I don't think I would. I haven't watched the Black Phone films. No, I wouldn't compare. This movie is really different for Scott Derrickson. Adding the romantic angle, to it and everything. It's definitely a different from my understanding. It's a different kind of film for him. No, I don't think I really compare it to anything. I've only had Apple TV for a short period of time, so I've only seen The Gorge once, just like Andres. And it's all right. I think it's probably like right at the same level of The Last Bus.
Lost.
The Lost Bus. I'm sorry. The Lost Bus, probably about the same level of film. Entertainment wise for me, as far as, the watch of it. I thought that the ending of The Gorge was a little bit of a letdown. I thought that the buildup was pretty entertaining, like pretty solid overall, for the most part. Say what you want about the mutant monster creatures, they're a little, I don't know, cheesy looking kind of. I mean, they're like tree people kind of, so it's kind of hard to find them intimidating. So I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm kind of 50-50 on those, on them as like the villain or whatever, although I guess like the corporation really overall ends up being like the main villain, right? Overall. I thought that it was just kind of like too easy, like the way that the ending ended up going. It was like too simple. and then the movie was over. I will give the movie credit for the soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack was pretty good. I liked some of the musical choices that they picked for the film. So that was pretty impressive. The soundtrack was pretty impressive. I felt like a lot of the songs worked well in the scenes that they were employed. Yeah, I mean, I like Miles Teller. I mean, the Fantastic Four film was really bad. Really bad. I mean, that movie was so bad that it's kind of hard, like, to praise anybody's acting in that film, really, But I guess you're right, Cyber. Miles Teller was pretty much okay, as Reed Richards, Reed Richards is tough, but yeah, I mean, I like Anya Taylor-Joy, her depiction of like a Russian, KGB, operative type, deal or whatever was like pretty good, pretty solid. I like that character for her, fit pretty well. Seemed pretty authentic, her accent and everything, seemed pretty realistic, I like her range as an actress. It seems like, from what I understand about her filmography, she's done a lot of everything, kind of, in terms of like, what she's been in film wise. So, she obviously has some range, I never saw that Mad Max film that they made with her in it, unfortunately.
Furiosa, yeah.
Yeah, I never saw Furiosa. Who has the rights to Furiosa? Which streaming service?
Should be HBO Max.
HBO Max, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll watch it eventually.
Yeah, Warner Brothers owns the Mad Max.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely watch it at some point. I remember I liked the trailers, So yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if I'd really compare this film to anything else I've seen Derrickson wise, I guess there's always like some hint of like a romantic element to some extent in the Derrickson films that I've seen. So yeah, I guess this isn't the first time he's necessarily touched like, romance or whatever, in film. But I don't think that's really his main, shit, as the director, is I don't think his romances in the films are not like a big deal, kind of, they're kind of like a background piece of the films usually, I kind of felt like the romantic vibe of this film was kind of like that. It was kind of to the side, it was part of the film, but it wasn't really, a maximum part of the film, great guns in the film. I like the guns that they have, there's some nice guns. I like that really big fucking gun, that really big fucking rifle that Miles Teller's character was carrying there at the end for some reason to blow up those fucking shields or whatever. Are those like radar fucking disc deals, whatever the fuck they were called, those radar stations. I like that gun, whatever the fuck that is, that shoots those massive bullets. I would like to have seen him use that more. Because that's a badass gun, whatever the fuck that thing is. But yeah, that's pretty much it, Cyber.
All right, thank you. Okay, good job. Yeah, I've seen it twice now. My second viewing was for rewatching it for this, and I thought, overall, it's still a very entertaining film. It definitely, is different, but at the same time, it's I think it's definitely, something that Scott Derrickson, I think, did a decent job with and gave us a very entertaining film that I thought was enjoyable. All right, so getting into the plot of the film. So 2 elite snipers receive identical missions. Guard opposite sides of a remote top-secret gorge for a year without contact with their counterparts or the outside world. Levi Kane, a former U.S. Marine scout sniper, is recruited by a mysterious woman named Bartholomew to guard the West Tower. Draza, a Lithuanian covert operative frequently employed by the Kremlin, guards the East Tower. Levi suffers from PTSD-induced nightmares, while Draza's terminally ill father, Eric's, plans to die by suicide on Valentine's Day. Levi reveals his predecessor, JD, a former British Royal Marine corporal, who explains that the location is kept hidden by powerful cloaking antennas, and the towers are armed to contain monstrous creatures within the gorge nicknamed the Hollow Men. JD warns of Stray Dog, an unknown emergency protocol, and that battalions of soldiers sent into the gorge in the late 1940s never returned. Believing he is being exfiltrated after leaving the gorge, JD is instead killed on Bartholomew's orders after being picked up by a helicopter. So we'll stop there. And I think that's a good portion of the beginning of the film. You get kind of introduced to the two characters. You get a little bit to know about them. You get this first kind of like real introduction to the Hollow Men. And of course, you get, JD, his character, and you learned about that former person that was there at Levi's post and kind of what happened to him. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Was there anything that you really enjoyed about that part, or is there anything that you thought could have been better? And then just your overall kind of thoughts on the beginning opening, leading up to, basically JD being killed because Bartholomew orders him to be killed. And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, it's the premise of the film is pretty standard, for a film like this, I thought, you know what I'm saying? It was pretty, it's pretty well done, I felt like Sigourney Weaver's character did not really get as much play, or didn't get really enough screen time kind of for her to really, have as much value in the film overall as I would have liked to have. But I guess as like an opening, character, like, just performing her task as, assigning Miles Teller's, job to him or whatever, she's very, very good in that limited capacity, and it's always nice to see her in a film, or TV or whatever. Right. So I enjoyed that. They don't give you a lot of backstory, really, in that opening with our main characters. They kind of just, they kind of just give us like a really, bare bones backstory, right? And then just kind of throw them right into their jobs, In fact, they don't even show us, like Anna Taylor-Joy actually accepting her role, like her job or whatever, at the, facility or whatever, at the spot. So I would like to have seen that. Like if they would have had that duality, because they showed Miles Teller's character, having to climb the rocks and all that shit to get the, his post and all that shit, I would like to have seen that with Anna Taylor-Joy's character too, that would have been cool. I can't imagine in real life actually accepting a job like that's that vague, where you don't even know what country you're going to be in, like that seems pretty like far out, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, here you go, we're just going to drop you with this fucking gorge, and I can tell you where the fuck we're at. And like, where's all their food at? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not getting food deliveries, So like, how do they have enough food and everything, and where's all this liquor coming from all the time and everything that they like coming from, I didn't understand that. But they seem to be eating good over there. It's crazy how those stations or whatever that they were occupying had like, 1940s power, grid or whatever, and like heat and cold and everything, and it all still works. Like, 80 years later, it's all still functioning, like World War II era equipment, I found that interesting, and I liked, although they were very minimalist, I liked the look of those sort of bases or wherever that they were stationed at. I liked how they looked. I liked how Miles Teller's character found all those etchings on the wall behind that book, that book of shelves, that shelf, the bookshelf right there. He found all those scribbles, and everything. I like that. That was cool. like from jump, when you know that it's like a chick and a dude and they're going to be stationed across this gorge across from each other, they're going to eventually hook up and like come across in some way and like get together. It's going to happen, so that's like, that's a no-brainer, you're not shocked when that happens, right? I like, I thought that Miles Teller's character in this movie was very different than the ones he usually plays, he's a very quiet kind of character, like very like laid back, I thought that was kind of different than what he usually plays, he was less talkative than he normally is in his roles. But that was okay. It worked for him, I thought it worked pretty well. Yeah, I just thought, it was kind of, the whole mission seemed very vague, that this guy was going to be going on. And, I thought that was kind of weird. But I guess that happens, in real life. I guess people actually do get like, military private sector jobs like that, where you don't know where the fuck you're at and shit like that. I guess it's possible. Having Ann Taylor-Joy's character start the movie right off by like sniping some random dude or whatever and not even explaining anything about that mission was kind of like pretty lame, kind of like pretty standard for a movie like this, I thought. Pretty robotic, kind of. And then all of a sudden she's hanging out with some dude that's like her father figure or whatever, her dad or whatever, all of a sudden. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to make of that, her dad's like somehow her handler also or something like that. I don't know. I didn't really totally understand all that. But that's it, Cyber.
All right, sir. Thank you. All right, going over to you, Mr. Andres. The same question, sir. That little beginning part leading up to the death of JD.
Sure. Yeah, so I kind of agree with Jeff here that the beginning point of this film was very typical. It does a good job of getting us to know our main characters of the film, particularly, Miles' character and Anna's pretty well. And, I think it's really cool to see like these two elite snipers, the opposite, direction. And they're, you see kind of like their lives before they get into the gorge. So that's pretty cool. I do agree we should get more about Anatoly Joy's character's background better, that because like I understood like where Miles' character was coming from, with the PST and then coupled, and also like a bit more of the shady company that he was employed by with Ripley herself. And then also I guess the father that was Anatoly's character's father, it makes sense that he was like a handler slash father, because that kind of happens in some of the stories of like of assassins or hitmen, something like that, because I've seen that before. And then after that, we get into the gorge, and I think that was where the movie starts to become more interesting, especially after we see the like former like predecessor named JD, the former British Marine, and like where he tells Miles' character about like the location of the gorge and like what they do there and like what are those creatures, like all that was very interesting. And I was very sad that he got killed, but it made sense because we don't know who employed them. So like it like adds intrigue. Like like Miles is not safe in that position after he completes that how many days they're on the post. So all that was like really good and like okay, like nothing special. It gets you into like the movie, tells you about the world, once the threat in the gorge and all that. So they explained it very well. I guess what else that could be a very intriguing thing. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I think the beginning part is really good. Oh, by the way, like Cyber, you brought about the Valentine's Day. It was very funny when the dads say, "I'm gonna die on Valentine's Day," and I'm like, "Wow!" Like, did Apple Plus tell the director like we want to be this poetic, justice or poetry that he's gonna die on Valentine's Day because his wife is dead and he's I think he's sick, right? He's terminally ill, and so like he thinks Valentine's Day is a good way to passed on. So okay, that's very unique. But that's all I have to say. I think so far the first half was the least exciting. When we get into like more of the mutants and all that, that was where the movie like seeing them in their separate pros was really exciting. When we get into it, when you get to their Cyber, that was where I thought the movie got better. So that's all I had to say about the first act of the movie.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, this first act, I mean, I think overall it gets across the point, for what it needed to, progress the film along. But yeah, I mean, they definitely could have, taken more time with certain, backstories and stuff like that too, most definitely, which would have put the runtime even longer. But I think overall it did a pretty decent job. Just want to mention to for everyone out there that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross did the music for this film, just FYI, because I thought this film had some pretty decent music. So I think that Reznor has always done a great job with music. I mean, he did a great job with Tron Ares, and I think that he brought some great music to this film as well.
They did The Social Network too, and of course they did. They're the no. Are they the ones that did Game of Thrones, or maybe that's another composer? But like, yeah, I really like the soundtrack. As Jeff said before, I thought the soundtrack was the best thing about this movie. When we get into it, it's really good. Love the select music.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think they did a Game of Thrones. I think that was somebody else.
Yeah, it
but
was someone else. I think he did the first Iron Man movie. Maybe I'm mistaken.
something like that. Anyways, great job. Good job, everyone. Billion points for everyone. All right. So moving on. So after several uneventful months, Graza violates the no communication protocol on her birthday, engaging Levi in a conversation via written signs in a sharpshooting competition. A wave of hollow men attempt to climb out of the gorge, but Draza and Levi use their rifles, automated turrets, and mines to defend their towers and each other. As time goes on, they bond from afar. 6 months into their posting, Levi pipelines across the gorge to have dinner with Draza. They spend a romantic night together, and he reveals he is writing a poem for her. The next morning, as Levi returns to his tower, his cable saps when mines are detonated by hollow men, forcing him to parachute into the gorge. Arming herself, Draza parachutes after him. So we'll stop there. So this is really kind of like the little kind of romantic part of the section. They get really into, as Jeff was mentioning earlier, you spend enough time, you're going to fall in love with each other, want to get romantic and shit. And this basically, we get all kind of that back and forth kind of like, oh, they're falling for each other, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, we have, the escape from the gorge sequence where, basically they end up falling into the gorge and we start to get to some interesting shit. So what are your guys' thoughts on this section? What did you like the romantic collaboration? Did you think that the film didn't need it? And what did you think about the Hollow Man coming up and them battling them and then them ending up into the gorge? And I'll start with you, Andreas.
Yeah, so as I said before, this is where I like the movie more because you're seeing both of these two elite snipers doing their posts, doing their daily routine, which was intriguing. And I do agree with Jeff. Where are they getting the supply? I guess they kind of did the routine of oh, we just we pack more stuff for the new the newbies when they do the guard, and then after they get rid of them, they probably stockpile more food and supply for them with whenever they get a new predecessor for the post. But we never get the explanation. But seeing these two doing their pose, and then when she did broke the protocol. It was really cool because I like it. It's always nice to see like visual storytelling in Force, and it was really cool to see them using like the stuff they have to kind of communicate. It was convenient they have like those binoculars in Force, but it's a really good use to show like what they're doing. It was really fun because I like how you know they go over the months, like particularly Christmas and then October, and then like all of a sudden February, you know, um, seeing their activities, building like it was cool to see like Miles' character, build the Christmas tree. That was very cute. I like how they build up their romance, very slowly in those like 4 months or you know since October. You can it seemed genuine, and like and this is where the music comes in, like really good music here by the soundtrack. I mean, some of it is like from the 80s, and some of them are from like the 60s. So I really like how they select the score here. And then after that, the fact that he sips, and then after 6 months into their post, you see the Miles character like zip line across the gorge to have dinner with honest character, which was kind of cool. Like the way he thought about like zip lining, it was like really neat. Like he was very clever, seeing how smart he is as like a sniper. And yeah, you get more information about like what he did, because we know he's like a private like contractor sniper, right? And of course she's like a KGB agent, I guess, because we don't know, like, is he from Russia, Jeff? Because that was something I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I don't know, like
Lithuania.
okay, some another foreign country, just have their spy stuff and all that, like any other country. Um, like that's the thing. Like I kind of wish they did more of her background, because like that's a rare country that I'm not familiar with. I guess I don't know if it's real or make made up. So I kind of wish they did more with that. But no, I like how their night together was really good. I like the music they picked when they did the dance. That was really neat. And then yeah, it was like this is where the movie really comes to life. And then of course when his zip line gets, or his post gets attacked by the Hollow Man, and he his zip line gets like attacked, that was where I was like, oh man, really cool. By the way, the special effects on the creatures was really good. I think the posts, and then like all the like CGI was like really well done. I mean, I think one thing I like about the Apple TV Plus is like they're spending the money, and like everything there is in the big screen, which is good. And yeah, it was really cool to see how she went down as well to like you know you know save him by parachute, and then like of course herself putting the parachute after him. That was really spectacular. So I really like this section. This section is my favorite part about the movie, is them forming their romance, seeing their activities, and like I like how we overlap the timeline from the 6 months to like kind of convey very well that their romance is pretty good, because this is where the pacing was good. Because when we get into the mutants and all that, I like them, but the movie starts to slow down, and like that was where I was having like a problem with the movie afterwards. So we'll get into that. So I really love this section. This is where the movie really shines, when it's more about those two characters, and not the mutants, and not the corporate greed that we get in the film with the Skullcandy Weaver's character. But that's all I have to say.
All right, sir. Thank you. All right. Going over to you, Jeff. What are your thoughts on the romancer and leading up to them both going into the gorge?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first like battle fight scene or whatever with the mutants. That was pretty good. I really like the auto turrets. I think auto turrets are always really cool to see in movies. I dug those. I liked the explosive mines and shit like that they had going on, that were blowing up all the time. I like that deal. And as kind of like cheesy as like the mutant characters are, like overall, watching them like scramble up the sides of the gorge and everything, was pretty cool. I did enjoy that. The love, romance deal, whatever, where they're messaging back and forth there for quite a while, and like, getting to know each other through like, written word or whatever. It's kind of cool, I enjoyed it. It was pretty predictable, but it works, it worked for the film, I mean, I don't know how great the chemistry was between those two, when he finally did cross over, and they hooked up and everything, I found it very interesting that she had a bathhouse on her property, like what a surprise that she had a bathhouse so he could get naked, Miles Teller looked pretty good naked. So hats off to him. But yeah, I knew he was going to fall in the gorge, or somebody was going to fall in the gorge or whatever. Once he busted out that rope and started crossing over, that was inevitable. That something was going to go wrong with that. So I was not surprised or shocked at all by the falling, into the gorge. I was just shocked that Miles Teller's character survived. I'm surprised he didn't die. From that fall on that rope. But he survived, whatever.
Yeah, how convenient he survived.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then Anya Taylor-Joy jumps off the fucking building, like with a parachute or whatever, I thought that was pretty stupid. Pretty dangerous move on her part to do that. I'm not sure if that was really smart. The gorge is obviously a pretty scary place to be. Like you don't want to be in the gorge, so I don't know if I would have done all that. Just to save that dude, So yeah, I mean, I thought the romantic stuff was just kind of okay, it wasn't, it was all right. It was okay. It was well, pretty well done, and the music worked well with it, I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was pretty good in those scenes. I liked her, her time on screen during those romantic scenes, she was pretty good in the fight too, against the mutants, I mean, I'm not really sure, I like understand exactly how all these mutants are like somehow like old soldiers from the 1940s or something like that. I'm not sure I really understood all that. But whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, it's also scientists and families. Like, that's one thing they didn't explain. Like, this was like a fully operated town that was like full of scientists and soldiers, and then whatever. The thing that got them to be mutated,
I don't know. They all look like soldiers or whatever, with like uniforms on and shit, so I'm not sure, that's what they were saying, that they were like, yeah, these are uniforms, like, or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it worked out well that those mutants could be killed with guns, like thank God, right?
Yes.
Like they're able to be killed by guns. So like, that worked out well for them as, as far as defending their, stations or whatever, so like, if they had not been able to be so easily killed with bullets, they would have been pretty fucked, overall, trying to defend those stations, I mean, again, like, I'm trying to figure out to this day, like, like how, how is Anya Taylor-Joy imagined to have vodka like every night? Like where's her vodka stash? And like, like how do they have all this food to eat for a whole year? Like, you know, like they didn't bring any supplies in, you know, like
I mean, it's like off camera. It's probably they just drop a bunch of crates that have all the supplies. Maybe, I don't know. That's what they probably doing.
But they never said anything about there being drop offs or anything like that. You know, like
I know
they make it seem like everything is self sustained. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. It's a very flawed thing from this movie. Yeah,
it's kind of weird. You know, like they have all this food or whatever. You know, but it's like, well, where is it? Like, you know, do they have like massive freezers or something? Like, you know, I don't know. You know, so like
how old is the food? Like, you don't want it to eat like a expiring food. I don't know. Like,
yeah. No, most definitely. You know, like are they just eating MREs all the time? Like, is that what they're eating? Like, you know, like I don't know. So yeah, I mean, you know, again, I was not shocked. You know, when Levi or whatever fell down in the gorge, I saw that coming, that they were going to end up in the gorge. You know, that was going to be a guaranteed thing. I will say that the shot of Anna Taylor-Joy jumping off that building into the gorge looks pretty good. That was a pretty good shot. Yeah. I thought there was some pretty good drone work with the cameras on this film. Some pretty good drone shots of the gorge, you know, throughout the film. You know, I think that the movie, like, once the movie got into the gorge is where it kind of started to fall off a little bit, you know, but we'll get into that in a minute.
All right. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, yeah, most definitely, I think this part is, you know, kind of interesting. And then once we get into the actual, like, fighting with the Hollow Men, I think it's really fun. And then them jumping into the gorge, him falling and her jumping into the gorge is really awesome. I was like, ooh, this is going to start getting good. We're going to get actually into the gorge and see where these creatures are from. And I remember just thinking, oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be cool. But yeah, very, very interesting, I think, kind of love story here that they decided to go with and have them kind of fall in love with each other across the way from each other. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, the Hollow Men's look, I think overall for a Apple TV movie, you know, is pretty good. I think that visually they weren't too bad looking. You know, like I mentioned before, it makes me think of all the Davy Jones characters from Pirates of the Caribbean, most definitely. You know, definitely give you that vibe and feel, I feel. And I was like, when I first saw them, I'm like, oh, this kind of makes me think of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and you know, End of No World, or The World's End. And I was like, huh. I'm like, they totally look like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, decided to make them look like that. But also at the same time, I feel like there's been several films over the years that have used like creatures that kind of look like this too. So it's not something new or original, I feel. It's definitely something we've seen before.
Yeah, they remind me of I don't know if you've seen the movie The Green Knight. Like, it reminds me so much of that a little bit.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's on my watch list.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom says it was a really good movie, so I keep forgetting to watch it. But yeah, I've heard good things about it. But yeah, those creatures are hilarious looking, I think, and at the same time, just look like so many other creatures I've seen in past films. So I think it's funny. All right, good job, guys. Great job. You guys are kicking it. You're knocking it out of the park, getting all those great things in there. So back to the synopsis. So the pair discover that all plant and animal life within the gorge have been cross-mutated, including the Hollow Men, revealed to be the missing soldiers from decades past. Fighting off the hostile life forms, Draza and Levi find the sources of the mutation, a World War II bioweapons research lab abandoned after an earthquake caused a contaminant leak that produces symptoms within 5 days. The facility has since been maintained by Darklake, a private defense corporation extracting hybrid samples in hopes of creating super soldiers. Draza and Levi discover Stray Dog is the original failsafe protocol to sterilize the site with a nuclear explosion. They find a working jeep with a towing winch, using it to climb out of the gorge as they fight off the Hollow Men, and agree to separate for 5 days to ensure they are not infected with the mutagens. During Levi's monthly radio check-in, Bartholomew admits that she works for Darklake and orders him to kill Draza. Aware that the two snipers have discovered the truth, Bartholomew dispatches a team to eliminate them. So we'll stop there, which is a good portion. I mean, good Gorge action here. We get to see all that fighting and stuff like that. We find out that, you know, these Hollow Men are fallen soldiers that have been there for decades past. We learned that it's all because of a contamination leak that was produced by this World War II bioweapon research lab. And then, of course, then we end up finding out that, of course, you know, Bartholomew is a bad guy, which we kind of knew that from get-go, I feel. You know, I don't think that was really anything that was really, you know, hidden. But most definitely a very interesting, I think, take here. And it really gets the movie going along. I think this kind of midpoint, kind of towards the end here, really gets the movie going, gives you a lot of information, gives you lots of action, and kind of gives you story that you didn't get. So I think it's a decent portion of the film. So going back to you, Jeff, what are your thoughts on this, sir?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know, like, it's kind of like weird, like how, you know, the Hollow Men or whatever, as you call them, or whatever, you know, are swinging around with swords and like riding horses, like down there or whatever, you know, in the gorge. Like that was pretty like out there when that happened. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this? You know, like, all right, motherfuckers, like riding around on horses and shit with fucking swords. Like, all right. But you know, again, they can be killed with bullets, you know, so that works out good for our you know, our protagonists, you know. I mean, you know, I really actually thought very highly of like the initial creatures that you know, Miles Teller's character bumps into when he initially gets you know, falls into the gorge. That centipede looking deal or whatever was neat. And him getting like stuck on the ground, like on like, you know, that like Venus flytrap eating looking fucking like, you know, organism or whatever. That I like that too. That was good. You know, it looked like he was in a bad spot there for a minute until Anastasia Joy showed up and like somehow just shot around that thing and that somehow stopped it or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of was super kind of predictable, you know, that it would turn out to be, you know, a like government military contractor operation, you know, that they're involved in, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, with the computers they find down there, you know, not really all that shocking, you know, that they decided to go with that, right? You know, kind of you know, a very typical sort of you know, deal in films like this, I think. You know, and so not all that surprising, you know. I thought that like the whole explanation of the Hollow Men characters, like of them being like bio weapons or whatever, you know, like mixed with animals and plants and shit, that was kind of far out, you know. Honestly, like I mean, I thought that was kind of out there. But yeah, I mean, the gorge looked pretty cool overall, you know, all like, you know, smoky and, you know, foggy, you know, and like, you know, desolate looking and shit, you know. It was pretty cool, you know, and, you know, I was kind of like, you know, thinking like, how are these motherfuckers ever going to get out of the gorge? You know, like seriously, like it's pretty dangerous down here, you know. And then Ann Taylor-Joy gets grabbed up, you know, by that one fucking Hollow Man guy, right? And with the rope, you know, and she got fucked up getting pulled around on that rope, man. I was like, damn, watch out, girl. You know, so yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not surprised that Sigourney Weaver ends up being a villain again, you know, of some kind in this movie. You know, it's not shocking that her character would end up being evil. I mean, when you're going to sign up for some crazy ass like job or whatever, you know, we don't even know where the fuck you're at. You know what I'm saying? For a year, you know what I'm saying? Like. You gotta expect some crazy shit's gonna happen. Like you're gonna end up fucking falling in the gorge, you know, with like mutants and shit. Like it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, I don't know, Cyber, if you went as far as when Aeon Taylor-Joy gets grabbed up, but I really like that scene, when she got grabbed up, and
I went all the way to them getting out of the gorge.
Okay, so then the Hollow Man guy got her and was gonna like eat her, or like something. Like he was gonna solder her wound or something. I think, or if I'm correct, because she got hurt when he was dragging her with the rope. So I think he was gonna solder her wound, close it, with the fire. But she kicked his ass, and got out of there. So good job, Miles Teller, showing up and helping her out, right? I mean, I was really kind of like a little bit confused with them using that car to get up the rope. Like that's a seriously strong fucking rope, bro. To be able to haul a car up it, that was pretty hardcore. And them having to fight off the Hollow Men, characters, whatever, on their way up was kind of just, whatever, yeah, I mean, I obviously I thought it was good that they got out of the gorge. I don't know how the fuck those strong ass motherfuckers managed to climb up the sides of the gorge, man. That shit looked hardcore, but they had to climb up that shit. And they did. You kind of like,
I mean, they're fast, creatures. I mean,
no, I'm talking about the Taylor-Joy and like Miles Teller had to climb the cliffs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're trained, soldiers.
Yeah, I get it. They're soldiers. I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's realistic.
No, I mean I know it's realistic. Back in World War II, there was missions where, Marines have climbed up ropes on cliffs to do missions and wars and stuff like that before, so that's not unrealistic, I know that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Cyber.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Going over to you, Mr. Andreas. Same question, sir. You're basically all that goes down in the gorge, and then it leading them up to getting out of the gorge.
Okay, yeah. So I'm very mixed on this. I like the gorge visually. I like how the environment, everything is affected by this, chemical, toxin that, affected the whole place and made the Hollow Man, all that. Like, it's visually cool. And also the creature signs on these creatures. The Hollow Man is really, really, really cool. Very unique, I gotta say. Or pretty cool. But at the same time, I am like as Jeff's been saying before, the story is so predictable, and I just wish at some point of the story they didn't over explain certain things, and I felt like, I don't need to know about this, World War II thing, all that could not, you don't need to explain that. Just, Vince discovered this unworldly, area that's been affected by some unknown thing or weapon, whatever, and we just experienced the horror, you don't need to over explain how this all became, and how the aminos and the people are mixed into as a new creature and all that. I didn't like the over explanation how this place became, and I thought that the reveal of Snowy Weaver character being the villain was so obvious, of course, as a corporate thing. So I felt that was all that was kind of unsatisfying, but I really like the action in the scenes, when they get attacked by the the Hollow Man. That was really good. The creepy spiders was annoying, but it was so good. Yeah, that one Hollow Man dragging, Anlator's character, in the ground was like really good. Um, yeah, and then when they get out of it, the gorge, it was like pretty unique. But I did question, like like how they were able to get a rope down there to like get the car up. Like, did I miss a scene in the film? Because I saw this, like I had to repeat that scene twice to like to understand what was going on, because I didn't see them getting that like rope and tying that truck or something like that. I don't know. I Because I do agree with you, Jeff. It was very silly that like somehow they were able to pull that heavy car um from the 40s maybe to like up there. But overall, I thought when they got attacked again by the Hollow Man, that was really cool and was spectacular. So a very mixed bag. The thing that's really good about this part was the visuals, the character designs, the action. But the stuff that I didn't like was really the exposition of like telling us how this all became. Like, I don't need that. That was really bad. It was like, it was so predictable. Like, you don't need that. I think it would be better you just like on like don't explain all of this, because it makes it scarier, it makes it like mysterious, but not like give us all the answers. Like, I don't need all of the answers sometimes in films. So that's what I have to say about this part of the movie.
All right, sir. Good job. Thank you. All right. Yeah, like I said, I thought this part was really interesting. I mean, that whole like Jeep going up the wall thing was insane. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take and very CGI'd and just kind of very odd. Like, I don't see a winch. I see a winch being strong, but not that strong to lift that Jeep up like it did in the film. So I definitely think that was kind of an interesting take and making the film even more like very interesting, making it very, very surreal. Definitely, that type of thing. All right, guys, great job, great job. I think that it being a World War II bioweapons research lab, I think that was kind of an interesting thing to go for. So for the fact that a lot of things were World War II type of things. Lots of movies have had World War II experimentation and stuff like that have been a big part of like certain horror films and stuff like that. And so it was kind of funny seeing that kind of in a newer movie again, because it kind of went out the wayside and wasn't really used anymore. So it was nice to see that again in this, being like something from like World War II era. So I did like that. I thought that was interesting writing. All right, so moving on. So Bartholomew and her men arrived to find the towers abandoned. Draza and Levi outgunned the armed drones set after them and destroyed the cloaking antennas, exposing the site to surveillance and triggering Stray Dog's detonation. Bartholomew and her men are killed in the blast, and the area is destroyed while Draza is separated from Levi and completes her 5-day self-quarantine. She reaches France to rendezvous with Levi, who does not appear, and discovers that he left her a completed poem in an envelope marked, "If I don't make it, open at sunset." Sometime later, Draza has begun a new life as a waitress in a local restaurant. She is surprised by Levi, who says he was delayed by injury, and they embrace and kiss. The end. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the conclusion of the film? And do you think that it was a decent ending, or do you think it was a crappy ending? And I'll start with you, Andreas.
I mean, it's not crap. I think it's just a very like predictable, like decent ending. Like everything just went according to the plan of the story they were telling. Like towards the end of them kissing was like typical romance 101 movie. If you haven't seen the rom-coms or the romance movies, it's like it was very typical. I thought the action was good, still decently good. It was just like the taking out the villains was like okay, kind of there. Like it was kind of predictable that they were going to set out some bomb to destroy the place, and it did, and then killed them, and kill Ripley herself in the helicopter. Um, I just kind of wish the the shootout was more brutal, and like instead of killing them in the the nuclear blast, it'd be kind of neat. Then they like shot her in far point or something like that. I don't know, something more spectacular in terms of like a more gruesome death than the one we got for her. But yeah, I don't mind the ending. It was like okay. It was very predictable as like a typical action slash romance movie, but I fairly enjoy it. I really like the film. It's nothing special, but it's an entertaining film, as Cyber stated before. That they if the film entertains you, it's a good movie, and I think this movie entertained me. I think it had a lot of good things going for it, but the ending is like kind of weak, but it's not a big deal.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion of the film.
Yeah, that's like Andre said, it is kind of a weak ending, honestly. It's very very typical, that I would have liked to have seen them do something a little bit more splashy, a little bit more out there, it was just kind of very simplistic, like, how they, detonated that, shot down those radar dishes, and then that led to the alarm and, the bomb being blown up, or whatever, and blowing up the gorge, but it only catches Miles Teller's character. It doesn't catch, Anna Taylor-Joy's. I didn't realize until now that she was actually quarantining in that cave. That makes sense now. I was wondering why she was writing down the dates on that rock, so that's interesting to know that she was quarantining, that whole time. I guess, them ending up together in France at the end suits the film well, but I don't know. You'd think with an evil corporation out there to get you and shit like that, like it wouldn't be that easy to just hide in France. I can think of like other more secretive countries to live in than France. You think you'd be kind of exposed there, but again, it works for the film, yeah, I've seen better endings, for films. This is an entertaining movie overall, but kind of a weak ending, overall, but I'd recommend the film, as a watch to anybody out there. It's definitely watchable. Miles Teller and Anna Taylor-Joy do a pretty solid job overall in the film. I thought they were pretty believable as soldiers. They did a pretty good job. Darrison did a good job with this. It's a nice runtime, right around 2 hours runtime. Which I appreciated. Right. Simon, that's pretty much it, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you. Very good job. I think that the ending was kind of very blasé too. Like everyone kind of saying, it was very kind of weak. Because it was just kind of like, oh, she quarantines, and then we don't know if he lived or not, and then she ends up going to be a waitress, and I'm like, you're a fucking sniper rifleist. Why the fuck are you becoming a waitress? And, then they like supposedly rendezvous there and they kiss and embrace, like, oh, okay. So I thought, I thought they could have done the ending differently. It could have been a little more powerful, a little different. And like everyone kind of mentioned, about the corporation, like, what happened to the corporation after those people were destroyed? Like, isn't it going to come after them more because and stuff like that? So definitely stuff that could be answered more and could have given it a little more of a clear cut ending that could have been more, concise and more, fully planned out or fully storied out. And I think that could have been better. But overall, I think, just like Andreas kind of said, it still was entertaining and an entertaining ending that, was pretty basic. So yeah, very good. Very good. So that is the end of the film, guys. What's the rating are we giving this film tonight? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
I'm going to give this one a 7, Cyber.
All right. Andres, what would you give it, sir?
I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10. It's a decent movie. I thought it was entertaining with the actors. I think Scott Derrickson did a really good job of executing the story he has, and but the problem is just it's a very weak story, very predictable, but it's a fun movie, and I really liked it. So good pick, Cyber.
All right. And I'll give it an 8. I think that it's entertaining and a fun film from Scott Derrickson. Not as good as Doctor Strange, not good as the Black Bones, and so forth, but still, I think a very solid, entertaining film. So I'll give it an 8. So we got a 7, 7.5, and an 8, folks. All right. So that is it for the Gorge, folks. Once again, it's on Apple TV if you want to check it out. It's on there now. Give it a whirl. And that is it for this review. So I will sign it over to Mr. Jeff to take us out.
All right. Andres, you go first, sir.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. This is Andreas Pop Culture Guy. This is my channel, Andreas Pop Culture Guy Channel Presents. So recently, I finally put another top moments. Is a top 8 Robert Duvall moments. Fortunately, we lost another iconic actor, so I wanted to, pay respect, and I picked some of the best moments, in my opinion, of his amazing filmography, from The Godfather, The Apocalypse Now, and some of my personal films that I forgot he was in that I rewatched as a kid. So I put it there as well. So really great actor. Very sad he's not there tonight. I'm working on a big comic book thing that contains 4 issues. So hopefully I get posted after we're done with the live stream. It's almost done, so which is good. Yeah, in shorts, I recently reviewed the Fallout Season 2. You can check out my thoughts on the Fallout Season 2 that we wrapped up, 2 weeks ago. So you can check that out. Gonna post another Deadpool Wolverine clip. They're doing very well. And then this Sunday, if you haven't seen my Instagram post, the room upstairs have been promoting, they're coming into the live stream view of Scream. So I'm going to have them, and that's going to be an exciting night, Sunday. So we're going to discuss the original Scream for its 3rd anniversary. Plus, the new movie is coming out next Friday. So I'm very excited for that. So that's the new one for this month, for February, for this channel. And that's all I have to say. So thank you guys. Please support me, Cyber, and Jeff. Continue on awesome content.
All right. Cyber, go ahead, sir.
All right, folks. So if you enjoyed my moderation or enjoy me on the panel, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark, which is my main hub, the great YouTube channel, Cyberneticshark. You can find me there. That's my main place. You can definitely see my 2 most recent videos there. My most recent trailer action is for the upcoming Masters of the Universe film. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. Or if you haven't seen Greenland 2 Migration, definitely check out that review of that film too. A great sequel to a 2020 film. And as you can see there, I also put up my Super Mario Galaxy trailer reaction as well. If you haven't seen either of those, definitely give those a whirl, people. If you're interested in more Scott Derrickson stuff, I most recently, a couple weeks ago, I put out my Blackbone 2 review, so you can definitely check that out. As you can see here, my most recent mini reviews are Still Send Help, Joe's College Road Trip, and then Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which both are great. All 3 are very great films. If you haven't seen any of those, definitely check out those mini reviews. I'll definitely be having more stuff up for you guys soon, so keep your eyes out. And we got to say, appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. Keep on subscribing. Keep on watching our content. Keep watching us here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We appreciate it, guys.
All right. So we'll be back again on Wednesday evening for a Night of the 7 Kingdoms episode. What is it, guys? 6 or 5?
6.
6 already. Episode 6.
Finale.
Yeah, the finale. Wow. Okay. So yeah, we appreciate everybody out there. We'll see you next time.
Hot D.